There's advantages in everything. It's a little better. Okay, good morning, everybody. You tell me. Gewaldig. Beautiful. Ze hebben een massach. Everybody remembers last year? Yeah. De gedenkst nicht? Ein bisschen? Yeah. Okay, so we're holding in the Maamar Chayei Tafshin Yud Beis, the middle of Seif Gimel, the middle of chapter 3, the second paragraph, Uba Protius Yoser. In the copies, it's page 121. Today's class is dedicated anonymously in merit of Mindel Nechemia Bas Malka for a complete and speedy recovery, and Arichas Yamim V'Shanim Tovus, and many long, happy, healthy, prosperous, and blessed years. Amen. Ken Yehi Ratzon B'Toich Kol Chayei Yisrael. And thank you very much to Anonymous for your ongoing partnership and friendship and dedication. And may God, Hashem, bless you with everything, materially and spiritually. Amen. Yeah? So we'll continue now. We had two shiurim. The first one we discussed at length the Zohar about Chava, Noach, and Sarah and all the questions, and then went into the concept and the experience of what Simcha is. In davening, there is the concept of there's the element of hisbonenus, contemplation, meditation, and then there's the element of tainug, which is the somatic. It's the blissful experience, which is also somatic. It's one that one experiences the soul in the body. Called the tainug of it, the simcha of it. Ivdu as Hashem b'simcha. And explained in the first class that is not just an extra ingredient, but that is essential to avodas Hashem. That's where the relationship with essences, not through intellectualism or through the mind. The mind is important as a beginning, as a keli, as a container, as an initiator, But ultimately, it's about the flow, being in that flow of energy that literally saturates you, fills you. And from there, that was the teichen of the first class. And from there, the Siv Gimel, we discussed that the keli of simcha is bittul. V'yasfu anavim b'Hashem simcha, the pasuk says. The humble ones will have an increased element of joy. It's a pasuk in Yeshaya, he brings. Yeshaya Perik Chavtes. V'yasfu anavim b'Hashem simcha. The humble ones will have a special increased element of joy. At the surface, it would seem that humility and joy don't exactly jibe together. Even if they could coexist, but generally it's two separate things. Simcha is an element of expansiveness, contentment. Anava is an element of self-effacement, right? Humility, self-denial. But the Rebbe explains that it's the opposite. Not only are they not a contradiction, but dafke v'yosfu anavim b'Hashem simcha. Anava bittul is the keli for simcha. And for this he explained that anava is not shiflus. There's an element where a person doesn't see good in themselves. It's a self-effacement coming from a negative self-image, a sense of lowliness. I'm like humbled, a sense of downtroddenness. That's not what anava is. Anava is, as he puts it, heder hergish atzmai. I'm not self-conscious. I don't live in the egoic mind. What did I say the line? It was a good line. I have to look it up again. Huh?
Don't think less of yourself, think of yourself less.
Very good, yeah. I put it somewhere. Yeah. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. Now, thinking of yourself less is not such an easy task, because how can I think of myself less? Unless I think less of myself. But by thinking less of yourself, you actually think more of yourself. Because, huh? Exactly, yeah. It becomes, it's counterintuitive, but that's how it is.
Could it be almost like a cue where you start thinking about yourself, start thinking about someone else? And how you can help them?
So,
it's not really where it's looking.
I guess it's fine, but I think that could also be with a lot of bypassing. In other words, whenever I'm not going to think of myself, idiot. I'm going to think of other people. In other words, yeah, I could think of other people, and it's a beautiful thing to do. But we're not looking to bypass. You understand what I'm saying?
One really can't exist without the other. They complement.
Yeah, of course.
Because one pulls.
Of course. This thinking of the other from a place of being in flow, of being in joy. Good morning, welcome. And then automatically I want to connect deeply, and I connect deeply. Because in a very deep place, there is a oneness, right? There's a oneness in the universe. So heder argashas atzmai means I don't live in that self-consciousness space. That's what anava is. And that doesn't mean I don't know my milas. Fakert. Moshe Rabbeinu, as he said, is the greatest, most humble person. And he certainly knew all of his qualities. If not, he couldn't have done anything. And he had to protect them. But it's not protecting, as we spoke about, healthy boundaries are. It's not divisiveness, it's not ego, it's not confrontation. It's actually protecting the divine energy that was given to you. It's being very, very protective. It's realizing the sacredness of it. So it's not an ego thing, it's actually being a channel. And he was humble, Moshe Rabbeinu, because he understood that it was all a gift. And because it was all a gift, why should he be arrogant? On the contrary, if somebody else would have received this, they may have even actualized it more. So there wasn't a superiority complex of me essentially being better and superior to other people. Right? And that's extremely, extremely fundamental. Everybody has tools. Sometimes people look at different people's lives, where this person's life is, where this person's life. Sometimes it's tempting to become arrogant, especially people who have done a lot of work with themselves, and they look around, they sometimes feel like they're like in a society where they can't speak to many people. And arrogance could creep in a very, very serious way over there. Very subtly. Arrogance in the name of spirituality. Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's a subtle arrogance. What's the solution to that? That's what the Maamar is saying. It's an element. It's the ego using spiritual healing to it hijacks spiritual healing for itself. It's just more sophisticated. Now I'm healed also. I'm humble too. I don't even have an ego. Look at everybody else. They're all stuck in their crazy ego, and I don't have an ego. I'm the only normal person in this planet. And it's sometimes feeding off a lot of work the person did. So Ish Moshe, who obviously his avodah was Moshe Rabbeinu's avodah, because of that he had more gratitude. He knew because of that he knew that it's not him. It's not his ego. And if somebody else would have had the same resources and the same kaiches, maybe they would have reached much deeper, much higher. So he could remain very humble. I told you the chicken doesn't look at the egg and feel arrogant. It came from the egg and it's going to produce an egg. And those are the different postures a person lives in. One, we could live in a posture where I'm worried about myself. My self-consciousness is always at the center, and it's a very miserable place to be. And that's not a keli for simcha, it's a keli for constant vigilance and monitoring myself versus somebody else. I think I once said in a shir, I remember there was once a Rav, he came to the Rebbe, and he said, wie filter sich? How are you feeling? And in Yiddish, literally it means, how is the self feeling? Wie fühlt sich? How are you feeling yourself? In English, we say how you're feeling. But in Yiddish, wie fühlt sich? How are you feeling yourself? It's just an expression. So the Rebbe responded right away, as me fühlt sich is shenish gut. He said, wie fühlt sich? How are you feeling yourself? He says, as me fühlt sich, if you feel yourself, it means you're not feeling it. And he gave a gewaldige mashal. He said, in physical health, how do you know your body is in good shape? And the answer is you don't feel it. Right? When your body is the most light, the most energetic, you're in flow, you don't feel it. It's like just light. You're not carrying a weight. The moment you're feeling the weight of your body, even if you're not sick, you're just lethargic and heavy and walking up the staircases, you know something is off. If you start feeling your pinky, there's something wrong. There's a cut, there's an infection, chas v'shalom. You start feeling your stomach, you start feeling your head. We all know what that means, right? I'm having a migraine. L'cha'ir, it should be the other way. If you're healthy, you should feel yourself. What are you not feeling yourself? Where's your stomach? Feel it, feel it. Feel your legs, feel your arms, feel your chest, feel it. And the answer is no. Why? Because a healthy body means it's aligned with the neshama. It's in flow. It's just a conduit. The guf is a conduit for the neshama. There's no blockages. So it's a conduit, it's just in flow. What? The moment it starts saying, by the way, you know I'm a pinky, feel me. I'm a nose. Oh, it now detached itself somewhat of the soul, which is what sickness means. There's some blockage. And therefore, I become very self-conscious of it. So he said, just like it's true physically, it's true psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. When a person is in that state, they don't feel themselves, not because they're weak and they're doormats and you could step on them. It's actually the ultimate power because you're channeling. You're a channel. So the brain, the psyche, also I'm not busy with it. It's channeling. Now, of course, we live in different spaces. We don't always live in that space. But that's the main nekuda of why the difference of anova and shiflus. And then he said, and this is the keli for simcha, because you'll always see when somebody receives something that they didn't expect, that nobody owns them, nobody owns it to them. It's a truly, truly gift. The only proper emotion is gratitude. Like we spoke about, the house, all the examples I gave. When somebody feels, I deserve, it's very hard to be besimcha, because whatever you give me, I deserve. And if you take something away, I'm really, really upset. I'm really, really angry. I'm really, really frustrated. When somebody knows, they know their milas, but they understand the gift, and they understand that everything that they have is literally a gift, as we explained at length in the shir. So then, this is the keli for being in a position of simcha. That was the main point. We elaborated it a lot. If you don't remember it, you could review it. All the shiurim are online on the yeshiva.net. And it's kedai to review this Maamar b'chlal, even if you do remember it, it's so fundamental. Let's see weiter. Ubeprati is yoser. more specifically, hine habitul shu klei l'simcha tzarich liyis ba'ofen shegam hasimcha atzmi simcha lekiz b'li hergesh atzma. This bittul that we're talking about, what does bittul mean? Not self-nullification, but bittul means alignment. It's the nullification of the ego, the egotism, the separateness, which causes me to feel lonely, independent, broken. Isolated, mamish isolated, yeah. And as we said, it comes in two opposite ways. There's the posture of I'm better than everybody else, and there's this opposite posture, I'm worse than everybody else, but it's really the same thing. It's a preoccupation with a self that feels lonely and needs to protect itself. It's not part of a divine oneness which is infinite. And it's a different experience. This is not a thing in the brain. In the brain you can understand both. It's the form of experience, how you relate to yourself and other people. Because in the relational field, that's where it comes out very powerfully. So he says, this bittul, which is a kalifa simcha, we're talking about a type of bittul that even the simcha is called simcha lekiz b'li hergesh atzma. The simcha is a divine joy without hergesh atzma. Hergesh atzma again means the feeling of self, of ego, of self-consciousness. Not because you're healthy, because you're unhealthy. You say, wait a minute, sick people don't feel themselves. They're detached, they're disassociated. That's not what we're talking about. Not hergesh atzma doesn't mean you're disassociated. Doesn't mean I'm dead. Doesn't mean my soul is detached from the body. Do whatever, like I just don't feel myself. That's a serious situation when people don't feel themselves. Bli hergesh atzma means, on the contrary, the self is completely in tune. It's aligned. The person is very sensitive, but it's a sensitivity not from separateness, but from oneness. So he says that the simcha itself is called a simcha lekiz b'li hergesh atzma. What does this mean? In simcha itself, there's two types. When the simcha is murgesh, which means the simcha itself is self-conscious. In other words, it's a temptation, because when you go into this space, you want to like zoom in and say, wow, I'm happy. I'm feeling happy. The problem is some things, when you look at them, they escape, they become evasive. You need to be able to be humble even in that experience. It's something, it could be, if you have an ego, it gets very frustrating. It's almost like you can't own it even for a second. The moment, like, you know the Ma'aseh in Chelem I told you with the moon, right? There was no moon for Kiddush Levana. So they decided to put there somebody all night with a barrel of water, and when the moon comes out and it's reflected in the water, he should put a lid on the barrel, and they'll hold the moon, and then the next day they'll do Kiddush Levana. That was the Chelem idea for Kiddush Levana. So they put somebody there, and indeed the moon came out in the middle of the night, and he had a barrel, and he put the lid on the barrel, and the next day the whole city came, men, women, and children, do Kiddush Levana, and they opened the lid, the moon is gone. And they started to search, they put a committee to search who stole the moon, and they say, Ada Yom Hazeh, they're still searching for the Ganev of Chelem who stole the moon. Yes. It seems funny, but that's true also with simcha. It's almost like you have it, so now you want to put a lid on it. Now I own it. You just killed everything. It's being in flow. It's constant surrender. It's like, what do you mean? But it's mine. It's not yours. The moment it becomes yours, you have nothing, literally nothing. That's what murgish is. Yeah, and even like I want to hijack it. I want to own it. But that's again it's the need of the ego to have control. So even after I did this, now I'm in flow. Okay, now I own the flow. The moment you own the flow, it's not flow. Flow means from the source. Source is infinity. Source is beyond me. In flow means I don't exist. I exist as a channel of flow. That's my existence. The moment I want to like take that away and hold on to it, what do? I interrupt flow. It's like I put a wall around it. This belongs to me. Zeh shali. Okay, so how much do you have? Nothing. There's nothing, so there's nothing coming in. So now I'm busy with holding on to what I think I have, and it becomes torturous. Your typhus, it's a dakas dekinyan. Because the temptation there is, it's an ego temptation. I already was successful. Right? So now let me put the money in the bank and keep it. Let me take the moon and keep it. So with money, we think we can do it. We also can, but we think we can do it. The moon, it's obvious that you can't do it unless you're from Chelem, but many of us are from Chelem, yeah?
The story of the cat in the box. As soon as you observe it,
That's in quantum mechanics. Schrodinger's cat, it's called. Yeah, in quantum physics, Schrodinger's cat is a concept where it's dead and alive simultaneously. That's in quantum. I don't understand it exactly. I don't know who understands it, but I don't even understand the basics of it. Yeah, but the fact is that in quantum physics, when we observe it, it already collapses into a single model, and it can't exist anymore in its pristine natural state where paradoxes can coexist. It's almost like my eyes, and it's like a fact in physics, like my eyes ruin it. The fact that you observed it and you observe it a certain way because you don't have the vessels to observe the full paradox of it, you like force it into a particular model, at least relative to you. Yeah. And in many things in life it's that way, right? So that's the point of the simcha itself not being murgish. Now again, if I'm telling myself, stop feeling your simcha, you idiot, you understand? The moment I'm like, stop thinking about yourself. Whenever I'm screaming at myself of how bad I am and how much I'm thinking about myself, I'm not running away from that. It's just transforming into another form of self-negativity. You never liberate yourself from your ego by crushing it, by destroying it, by screaming at it, by telling it how horrible it is, by yelling at it. You never do that. Because you know what it does? It just pushes back. It's like, I'll show you. We have to remember something. We're not going to get into it, but the ego is there in its own way. It's trying to protect us. The Nefesh HaBahamis, it says in Tanya in the first chapter of Tanya, that the Nefesh HaBahamis has 4 elements. Eish, Ruach, Mayim, Afar. That's what it's made up of. Its job is to protect itself and to protect you, to protect the body. All of its, so it asks itself, for me to be, I need fire, water, air, and earth. Right? Just like for us to be, we need our oxygen, we need our water, we need our earth, we need our air. We all need that. If not, I'm not going to live. So the animal soul says, how do I make sure to get it? So the Alter Rebbe says, fire, it gets through anger and arrogance. Water, it gets through all cravings, anything pleasurable. That's how it gets its water. Okay. Earth, it gets through depression and laziness and anxiety. and Ruach, it gets through speaking about other people, through boasting, through mockery, through cynicism. That's what he says in the first parak. Just those few lines in Tanya, the animal soul is just trying to survive. You don't become lazy for no reason. Laziness is a very important coping mechanism. You don't get anxious for no reason. It's a very important coping mechanism. The animal soul is trying to keep me alive. All pleasures that I want, it's the animal soul says, I want to be alive, I want to be comfortable. The ego is one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest. That's the Eish, that's the fire. It's literally making me feel that I'm a good person, making me feel that I'm a good guy, dealing with people that have hurt me, whatever, it's all these things. So by screaming at it and telling it, you're a sicko, you know what it does? It says, oh, now I can't even trust you. Now I can't even trust you. Oh, no problem, I'll take over. It's like literally somebody, you come and you start punching them and they feel you want to kill them. Their last kaiches they will put in to fight you back. And that's what it does. So whenever you're killing your ego, and the Kotzker Rebbe once said, when you break a taiva, you made from 1 2. When you break a taiva, you took 1 and you made it 2. And so you break that 2. So now you have 4. And then you break that again, so now you have 8. Like the frog in Mitzrayim, yeah? Remember what Rashi says? They saw a frog, they started to strike it. So what happened? Multiple frogs came out. So they started to strike all of them. And they brought the whole city. So what happened? Before they knew it, you had millions of frogs everywhere. But that's how life works. I'm going to kill you. I will destroy you. I will crush you. So now you have 20, 30, 40, 50. Kill me again. That's what the ego does. It just splinters. It's very smart. So it splinters into little frogs. Comes here, comes there. Before you know it, you're tortured. That's why bypassing is never the way. I don't break it. I want to liberate myself from it. I want to understand what it is, acknowledge it. I can have compassion for it. I can have empathy for it. One day I could perhaps transform it, not always. I'm not always in that position. And then the more I could see it, the more I could then choose, where am I going to operate from? Is my conversation to you going to be from that space, or it's going to be from a deeper space? Are my thoughts going to be hijacked by it? Or will I be able to navigate, bring in other thoughts? The same is true of my behaviors and actions. But I'm not yelling at it. I'm not coming to fight. On the contrary, and ultimately, ultimately, with real work, there's a skafin, there's a hapcha. With real work, I can even transform it. Because deep down, it's just trying to protect me. And when the animal soul gets the memo that you'll be the most protected, you'll be the most safe in surrender, then it becomes blissful even for the animal soul. That's what hapcha means. You realize that it's actually not evil. It was really just a protective way. It's eish ruach mayim afra. I'm just trying to survive. I need oxygen. I need oxygen. This is how I know to get oxygen. I blame people. I'm angry. Anger, think about a 4-year-old. What tool does a 4-year-old have in a crazy dysfunctional situation? Give me one tool that the 4-year-old has. Cry. And what if you can't even do that? So one of the biggest things, at least I can be angry. Anger is at least something. I'm good, you're bad, and I'm angry, right? Or anxiety, or disassociation, right? These are all, I'm not going to say beautiful, but they're all normal tools that we develop in life in different situations. And then it becomes my template, and that's how I survive. And sometimes I don't even know of anything else. Now I'm the same way with my spouse and with my children and with other people. And I mean very well. The person is actually trying to do the best they can. Of course I have to live in that space. If I don't live in that space, I'm in danger. Now it's already automatic. Now I'm older, so I do it in more sophisticated ways. I may become very successful too. On the contrary, sometimes when you become very successful, it becomes even more dangerous because now you have certain comforts in space. Like now you could really consolidate your dysfunction. You know, I have a nice house, I have a few cars, I go on vacation, I have a lot of comfortable things in my house, I'm a respected person, like there's a lot going on, people like me. Now the dysfunction becomes, validated by the world. And some of us, it's really torture. It's really, we're living in torture because we're living completely isolated. You guys understand what I'm saying? Some of you experience what I'm saying, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. The worst thing, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, when you gamble and you win, that's the problem. If you lose, it's a gift. Go back home. Huh? Your two mothers were talking about the nachas they have from their sons' gamblings. They said, my son, the other day, he went and he made $5,000. Imagine $5,000 he made. She said, that's nothing. My son went with a vehicle that's worth $10,000. He came back with a vehicle, $90,000. She says, really? Yeah, he went with his car and he came back by bus. They took his car, he came back by bus. When you win, that's the worst. When you lose, now perhaps, at least, maybe you'll be cracked open. I mean, hopefully you could be cracked open even if you win. So the same is true in life. So the bottom line is, right, so that's why I'm saying, when you just tell the thought, stop thinking about yourself, you idiot, moron. That addition, idiot, moron, where did that come from? Yeah, that was the need to put myself down, which is another coping mechanism. And that's not another. That's not another. Another is liberating. It's liberating. I'm not thinking about the other person because I'm evil. I'm thinking about the other person because I'm good. Right? You don't go to the gym because you hate your body. You go to the gym because you love your body. You cherish your body. It's not like I hate what I look like. Everybody hates me. I'm so unattractive. I'm so and I'm going to work 3 hours a day so that maybe you're going to look at me and I'll look at you, oh, impressive. There's like a torture in that. On the contrary, right? It comes from a place of liberation. So when you talk about the simcha here, he says the simcha is beli hergish atzmai. No ego even in that. When the simcha is bemurgish, interesting words. When the simcha is bemurgish, what does it mean the simcha is bemurgish? The simcha itself becomes a felt experience. Like I am besimcha, which is a very tempting thing. Like you just want to put pause. They call it a Kodak moment. They still use that word, I don't know. Kodak moment, right? Means you freeze the moment in time forever. And that's what we want to do. The only problem is that's a symptom of death, not of life. For a picture, it's good. That's the function of a picture. I once saw a letter. There was a Yid who went to Eretz Yisrael in the 60s. And he apparently took a lot of, it wasn't so easy to get to Israel then, There was still people taking boats. It's not, and the planes were very expensive. Anyway, he went and he took a lot of pictures. And in the old pictures, if you expose the negative to light, everything was gone. You ever saw how they used to develop pictures in a dark room, etc.? Anyway, by mistake, I guess somebody opened the camera and the negatives were exposed and he lost the entire roll of pictures. So I saw he wrote a letter to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, just lamenting how upset and depressed he is, all the work. So the Rebbe wrote back a nice letter. One of the things I remember he wrote, I saw it many years ago, he says, maybe it was a big gift. Because if you would have had the pictures, you would have thought that that's your visit to Eretz Yisrael. Your visit to Eretz Yisrael would have been reduced to the pictures. Now, all you have is the experience. The experience, what happened inside of you, and you cannot substitute that. Sometimes, let's take a picture of the event. It's beautiful, take a picture of the event, but it becomes a great substitute for actually being in the event. I once read a story, somebody said they went on vacation, the most beautiful, beautiful river in the world, and they were just hanging out there, and they had a video camera, and they didn't want to miss the vacation. So everything they videoed. They went on the boat, they videoed, and they went to the island, they videoed, everything. And he said after a few weeks he was there, he realized that his video camera was on vacation. So the Kodak moment, I want to freeze it. I'm besimcha, now it's murgish, it's mine. So he says, when the simcha is shemargish is samach mesanig b'zeh, hine mitzat tnuah says spashtus shabinyan simcha, because simcha has a tnuah of spashtus, which means expansiveness. Kiyadua she simcha peretz is geder. Simcha breaks down boundaries, it breaks down walls. You feel like you're less behind walls. So even though the simcha is actually a holy joy, but it could be that through ribu hishtalshlus, means through many rungs, many evolutions, there should be a yinika of the chitzayim. The external forces of klipa, of cover-ups, should get their nurture from this simcha. The simcha itself becomes a feeder. A yinika is like when a child nurses. It becomes a source of nursing l'chitzayim to the external forces of reality, which means the reality of ego, which actually separates you from the source. And whenever something allows for the nurture of chitzayim, it means that even when it's still in holiness, there's something off. There's something off. In other words, any idea, any truth, that if you take it to its logical conclusion, can produce negativity, that means even in its source, there's something off. If it would be pure in its source, it would remain pure in all of its manifestations. Yeah. I once saw, just came into me, I once saw a letter from the Rebbe to somebody, also the 50s or the 60s, and he wrote, somebody asked him about a certain shitta in Yiddishkeit. So the Rebbe said, whenever you want to judge a shitta, you should look at the radicals of that shitta. Don't look at the normal people. Look at the extremists and what they're saying, because that shows you where it's going. There's people that they're civilized, they're good. Take it and take those who take it seriously and like they're idealistic and they're not afraid. There you'll see what is really at the core of it. It was very interesting. He doesn't mean somebody that is claiming that they have this shit and they're just nebach crazy, whatever. He means that the shit taka produces this. He says, don't look at the people who know how to make it nice. Look at those who take it all the way. They take it very, very seriously on the extremes, and then you'll see what it is. It's a tall order. It's a tall order, but that's the nekuda. Yeah. Sometimes it's good. What do you want? What do you want? But there's a crack, and if there's a crack, that crack, as it develops and opens and opens and opens, could cause things. So he says, whenever you have something, it's intense. Whenever there's something that could be a nikas achitzayim from it, it's a hichacha that even in kedusha, it's flawed. It's not fully pure. It's not fully pure. Now you'll say, come on, so what do you want? Right? That's life. But the soul knows. The soul knows the difference. The soul knows the difference between something that's pure and something that's impure, and something that's pure, but there's an impurity that is dormant there. And after certain evolutions and developments, it's gonna be triggered. Sometimes you have chalila, a tumor, it's dormant, but certain things happen and it can come out. The same is true spiritually. The pach echad shel shemen shayechasim b'chesamer shel kohen gadol. There's the jug of oil that was sealed with the seal of the kohen gadol that was completely beyond impurity. Al derech hamavur beinyan pilakshay ushmar uma. In Chassidus, the Alter Rebbe in Likkutei Torah explains something fascinating. At the end of the Akedah, we have the story of Psuel, of the story of Nachar. Avram Avinu comes back and he hears that his brother Nachar married a woman Milcah, and she had 8 children, right? And then he has a Pilegesh, Ushmar Uma, and she also has a couple of children at the end of Vayera. So it says Upilakshay, and this is how we finish the reading of Rosh Hashanah, the end of the Kriya of Rosh Hashanah. So basically, Avram comes back from the Akedah and he hears that he has a brother Nachar, he has a wife Milcah, and she had children. So he has all these nephews, Utz and Buz and Kmuel and Kesed, Chazai, Pildash, Yidlaf, Psuel. So basically, Psuel, of course, is the father of Rivka. And then it says, and this guy, Nachar, Avram's brother, has a Pilegesh. He has a wife, Milcah, and he also has a Pilegesh, a concubine, somebody else. Her name is Re'uma. And she also had children, Tevach, Gacham, Tachash, and Macha. That's the end of Vayera. It's the end also of the reading of Rosh Hashanah. As Tevach, Ves Gacham, Ves Tachash, Ves Macha. Right, and that's how we finish Rosh Hashanah. So generally, look fine, it's all these names in Bereshis, another name. The Alter Rebbe says, unbelievable. Every name has a lot of depth to it. So he says, Ru'uma. Ru'uma is the 2 words. Ru'uma, Sima. Literally, see what? Or Sima. Ru'uma. Listen to this. Bittel ma. Harei a bittel atzmei hu morgish. We can anweisen dem bittel. Shezeu ru'uma ru'u shani bottle. Ru'uma ma is bittel. Everybody knows ma is chachma. Chachma is koyach ma. It says in Zohar and Tanya. What does ma mean? It means what? Moshe Rabbeinu says about himself, V'nachnu ma kisalinu aleinu. What are we that you're rebelling against us? Me and Aaron are not here for the power. We didn't choose this job. You're angry at us like as though we're looking to control anybody. V'nachnu ma. Really, ma means what? It's an openness. What's chachma? Chachma is koyach ma. It's the koyach to say what? It's inquisitive. It's curious. It's not locked into anything. The ability to say ma, what, is a question. It's wonder. I don't know. It's not I know. I don't put the lid on something. I don't own anything. That's what ma means. I don't know who my wife is. I don't know who my kids are. I don't control. I could say ma, what? It's like this openness. It's cracking open. It's the ability for real growth. That's why chachma is the tool, is the moment when you can have epiphanies. You can learn new things. Because you're not fixed. You're not stuck. You're open. Ma, what? It's emotionally being open. It's not so easy. It's like when your wife is speaking to you, can you really listen? Without showing her why she's wrong. And even before she ended, you already know how you're going to explain. I'm not saying she's always right. That's not my point. Only 99% of the time. But the point is, ma means, can you really listen? Can you really listen without a fixed agenda of knowing who you are, who the other person is, what goes in, what doesn't go in? That's the tool of all growth. That's why chachma can bring in new ideas. Ma. Real curiosity. Not just intellectual, like maybe I'm going to learn a new idea that I could repeat at my next speech. Emotional curiosity. It's flexible emotionally, just like in stretching, right? You go beyond the limit. Like this, if somebody's just stretching like this, it's not a stretch. You stretch in a way that you're really stretching. And then the body's like, Right? That's what you meant. A real stretch, you ever had a good real stretch? It's like it takes you out of the comfort zone. It doesn't break you, it expands you. If somebody breaks your bones, that's not a stretch, that's called breaking bones. That's not an inyan, right? That's the difference, by the way. The difference between bittul that is emancipating and bittul that is crushing is, you stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch and you destroy yourself, right? Somebody doesn't know what they're doing. You lift weights and you destroy yourself. And then there is, you stretch and stretch and stretch, and afterwards you feel like a mensch, like normal. Your body thanks you, like, thank you, I needed this. The blood is flowing like normal. You understand? That's the difference between bittul, where it's like, stop it, you idiot, we're going to stretch now and kill ourselves, or no, we're going to open up to our truest self. So ma is that inyan of bittul. And that's why it's the ultimate curiosity. It's the what? And that's why Moshe says, v'nachnu ma. It's also begematria Adam. Adam, Aleph, Daled, Mem is Mem, Shema. It's also one of the names of Hashem, because Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey, when it's spelled out fully, Yud, Vav, Daled, Hey, Aleph, Vav, Hey, Aleph is 45. You could go, Shem Havaya, Shem Ma, 45. Anyway, Ma is the union of Bittel. Ushma Ru'uma, what's Ru'uma? Ru'uma, we can unweisen den Bittel. Look at my Bittel, you see it? Ru'uma, see the Bittel. And we're not talking about a playful showman. We're not talking about a con artist. No, it's inside. Can I see my Bittel? It's owning my Bittel. Take a picture. Kodak moment. It's bittul. It feels so good. Put it in the bank. Put the lid on it. It's mine. Ru'uma. See it. And what just happened? You just killed it. You just killed it. It's tempting. We want to own things. That's what the ego says. God just gave you $1 billion. Run! 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 The only problem is this type of $1 billion you can't run. It's about surrender. It's about being in flow. But it's very tempting. You typhus? It's unbelievable. This is so true in life. I told you last time, sometimes, I finish a shir, and if God graces and it works very well, and somebody gives feedback and it's incredible feedback, there's the ego temptation. Own it. Like, take it home with you. Put it in the bank. Put the lid over it. Right? The problem is it feels good for like 45 seconds, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. Because essentially, it's disconnect. That's what it is. It's disconnect. Now here it's in a very authentic place. We're not talking about fake bittul. We're talking about simcha, but it's bemortgaged. That's what ru'uma is. So that's the pilegesh of nacher. The pilegesh of nacher is shma ru'uma. Ru'uma. And that's why you read it on Rosh Hashanah. That's why you read it on Rosh Hashanah. It's not stam.
This goes back to last year.
You want to know if the spaceship took off already? Or we're still in gravity? What do you want to know?
We're already in rarefied air. But I'm just saying, the Rebbe said this last time, the same statement, right, about after a shear.
Yes, I was repeating what I said. Yeah.
I hear. But what I wanted to just interject is, it's the opposite side of the spectrum from 9 to 9.
Right. That's the word of the Magid. V'hoya kenagin hamenagin v'tihi alav yad Hashem. Kenagin hamenagin, the word from the Magid. We have said it many times. Unbelievable word. V'hi kenagin hamenagin v'tihi alav yad Hashem. What's kenagin hamenagin? V'hi kasher nigin, kasher hischel nagin. Kenagin hamenagin, right? When the menagin becomes the nigin. V'tihi alav yad Hashem. When the one singing becomes like the instrument of the music, or like the song itself. And there's no separation anymore. V'tihi alav yad Hashem. If the menagin is singing, you think they like me? I'm doing well? They'll hire me back? You think next time I can ask for more money? Why is that guy texting in the middle of my concert? Why are you texting over there? Why did he leave early? I'm not good. You think I'm boring? Oh no, probably his wife has to give birth. You understand? Okay, now I feel better. His wife has to give birth. That's why is that guy living? His wife has to give birth. He's 79 years old. It's like Avram Avinu. He's having a baby. Oh no, maybe I don't know. Maybe this idiot goes to sleep at 9 o'clock, so he has to leave my concert. You understand? And this is all happening. And those who perform know that this is exactly what happens. I mean, it's not what they talk about, but whoever knows their own soul, these are things that happen. So this audience is not always sensitive to it, because talent is talent. But you're sensitive to it, and those who are sensitive feel it right away. There's like an interruption. There's like music is an energy, right? Somebody once said creativity is eavesdropping on God. Creativity is eavesdropping on God. That's what all creativity is. It's nothing else. Creativity comes from the word creator. Real creativity means you're channeling creative power. Whose creative power is it? I created something. So that's what creativity is. The more you eavesdrop on God, the more creative you are. The more I'm busy being God, the more I destroy my creativity. That's exactly what it is. But it is tempting because the ego likes to be small, safe, and in control. And that's what Ru'uma means. Ru'uma means, okay, I'll be bittul, but notice it. I want you to notice it. Just notice it. I'm not asking yet for yeshus. I just want you to notice my bittul. And the Rebbe says it's still kedusha. This is still kedusha. It's not klippa. You have to understand, this is not klippa. This is not fake and deceptive. No, it's ru'uma. I just want to appreciate. I want to hold on. I want to really appreciate it. And it's a very beautiful moment in many ways. It's like, just capture it. Capture the moment. It's not going to come back. But when you're really in flow, you know that it's a trap. It's a death trap. It's killing yourself for that moment. The moment you're taking the picture, you just detached yourself. It's like the chassan putting on the ring on his kala, right? And he's like, wait, picture. What do you want from him? Yeah, he wants in 10 years, he wants to see the moment, right? But he just went out of it. We understand it. It makes sense. In a world of not flow, you want it. You want to hold on to it. You want it on your refrigerator. V'hu inyan klipas noiga da'atzilus. Says a hafla dikavart. This is the klipa in Atzilus. V'hainu ba'olam Atzilus sham lo yigur chara. In Atzilus it says lo yigur chara. Evil does not live with you. So Chassidus says that's talking about the world of Atzilus. Ra, it's from Tehillim. Lo yigur chara. Tehillim hey. No Ra could live with you. Meaning in Atzilus everything is pure. Atzilus is the highest world and it's a consciousness of oneness. Where you could see everything in terms of oneness. Hine inyana klipas noigahu shabitul b'murgash. Comes out to Rebbe and says that even in Atzilus there's a klipa, it's called klipas noiga, which means a translucent klipa. What is it? Bittul b'murgash. Simply that the bittul can be experienced, felt. So that what you're talking about Atzilus, so fine, so it's felt. Here's the deal. But through many evolutions from this nekuda comes klipas noiga of the world of Asiya. And this is already the mamutza, the bridge into Ra Gomer, into real isolation, into real toxicity, into complete disconnect. Meaning not klipas noiga, but the full klipa. So you typhus. In Atzilus, it's all kedusha. That's what he was saying. But from many hishtalshalus, from this comes already out that I'm looking for the self. And in Asiya, it's already a different klipas noiga. And then from there comes real klipa. This is mamish dak min adak. You have to understand. This is very, very dakasdik. This is a plaksher shmara umma. Zet mein bittel. They put it in Yiddish because the Rebbe said to my mother in Yiddish, and this they didn't want to translate. We can unweisen dem bittel. You know, in Yiddish, you could point to it. Here's the bittel.
Good news. It means that everything that we have bad, negative, comes from klipas noiga.
Of course. The most dysfunctional, broken realities have a source that's always very, very subtle. The Alter Rebbe writes in the Torah that he heard from the Magid that machshavas zaros of tzaddikim have much more damage than serious avedas of Rishayim. They make much more damage. Machshavas zaros of tzaddikim, why? Because they're plugged in to a very high frequency. So a little flaw in the source, it generates mayhem. What's the big deal? He just had a thought. But in that space, a thought is everything. Huh? It's very sensitive. It's when you go back to the source, you're damaging things. It's much more subtle. Things are very, very subtle over there. The more you have choice, the more you have agency, the more you're connected to your own source, the more you realize the power of thoughts. For many of us, what thought you think? The main thing is what you do, right? But really, in a very deep place, every thought matters, but only when you're in a space where you're channeling that. If not, you can't take that responsibility. But people who know that they're connected to that place, they take responsibility for every thought. And the more you realize things, the more you take responsibility for it. Not in a blaming way, but just realizing, because many of us, we're blindfolded, and for much of our life we're blindfolded. But when I realize things, I could just say, wow, this is what happened, and this is what I want to be sensitive to. Not in a blame way. So this is the inyan of pilakshoy ushma ru'uma. V'cheinu b'inyan ha-simcha, shekasha ha-simcha hi b'murgash, azay efshe she'etzim is inyan shel ra gomer. Whenever the simcha is b'murgash, in andere Werte. There's the element of the self-consciousness. So then ultimately from this could come out Ra Gamor. You see this by somebody who inside there's a lot of negativity in them, evil in them. When they're very happy, all the boundaries come down and you see their yeshus, their ego, and their rishus, and it becomes visible because they're not self-conscious. They reveal who they are. They reveal their secrets. When somebody is bittul, so down by simcha, you see more of their bittul. In a time of joy, you see more of the essence. When somebody in their essence is a real yesh, that's what comes out. And when somebody is really bottled, that's what comes out. This person forgoes all their honor. They're ready to connect with every person. You know, sometimes you see when people drink, right? Some people, they become so vulgar, and every disgusting term that they usually hold back from because of their sometimes civil comes out. Their physical behavior, their mannerisms, the way they talk to people, whatever, just vulgarity. What is it showing? It's showing what's inside. Inside, there's so much unrefinement. Then you have other people. You see, they drink, and so much love comes out. So much, the secrets come out. Yeah. So he says sometimes you see a person, the nifretz gidra and the yeshus and the rishus comes out. Viciousness. You know what he's talking about? You probably have seen it, no? Viciousness, vulgarity, arrogance, stupidity. Yeah. It's just bringing out what sits there. Many days they have a wall on it because they understand that they want respect, whatever. And then another person, verkehrt, or the edelkeit comes out. Their love comes out. You see their humility. You see how much, When we see when I'm drunk or when I'm sober. No, it's a very powerful thing. Sometimes people take something that alters a little bit consciousness, right? And we all have different parts, right? And sometimes you see even in yourself a part of you comes out. Wow, I didn't know. Yeah. One guy once said, "Wow, I'm such a good person. I'm such a good person. I have so much love in me. I love." He always told himself that he's a hater and he's sick and he's this and he's an egomaniac and whatever, all these chesronos. And suddenly he himself felt his bittul in a beautiful way. He felt his kindness and he could express it. So sometimes we need to get out of those walls to be able to see, that's what some people need to know, that you're a good person. We knock ourselves so much of how horrible we are. And we think that's honesty. You have to know your chesronos. Of course you have to know your chesronos. But also you have to know your milas before your chesronos. I'll call upon him. So what do we see from here? That not every simcha, not when somebody comes out, always good comes out. Other things come out. So he says, Sof kol sof, what's the shayrish? The shayrish is already in Olam Atzilus. The shayrish is in Atzilus, Ru'uma. From the Ru'uma and Atzilus, which is full bittul, but Ru'uma on a lowest level comes out Ra Gamor. This also means something else. There's Galus healing and Geula healing. Galus healing is when I see a problem in you, so I take you to a doctor, or I take you to a professional, or I tell you what to do to fix your problem. That's Galus form of healing. Geula form of healing is when I see something in you, I ask myself, what's the work that I need to do in myself, and that's why I'm seeing this in you. It doesn't mean you don't have your work. You may have your work. But it means my work, your work is your work. I can't do your work. But my work is, where is this in me? Why are you triggering me this way? So the Rebbe is saying here, when this Jew meets this person, with Ra Gamor, there's a lot of problems, a lot of challenges. Instead of saying, wow, this guy is so sick, I ask myself, where is this in me? And I may find my Ru'uma. My Ru'uma, in Atzilus, so to speak, is the Klippas Noiga, that's the Shoirish of it. Or in Bria, or in Yitzira, depends on a person's level. But it's really going back to the source and seeing inside what that means. And this is what freedom looks like. When we go out of Re'umah, that's what real simcha is. There's no mortgage. There's no need for hergish. It's like, wow. You don't have to carry the burden that you need to see your existence. It's a burden. I have to exist, and now I have to see the existence. And you can let go of that burden. You can really let go of that burden. Like children have it, right? Sometimes you have to force children to take pictures. Why? Because they know that essentially, yeah, I'm in the sandbox. Like I'm living. What do you need a picture? Huh? Yeah. It's like I'm in flow. What do you need a picture for? We're talking here on a spiritual level. I'll call upon him. So this is the simcha that is b'murgish, that he's saying you have to understand that from a simcha b'murgish, where I want to control that too, or at least see it, there could be a yinikas achitzayna. V'nikol zel say that avodah kushum mitzad habriya by from shalom al minui nivra. Shavay the tzrichali is b'simcha lekiz b'li hergesh atzmai v'zel winyan hashayich lekol echad kivin shein zein shel hid v'kayitz b'zel lemikre havodah. This is all the way the world is supposed to function. The world was created in a healthy way. Olam al miluya nivra, it says in Medrash. Hashem created the world miluya in a fulfilled way, meaning in flow. That the avodah of a person is with simcha elikis, without self-consciousness. And it's shaykh to everybody. It's not a hidur mitzvah. This is ikri avodah, like he said before. This is the relationship. Relationship means, like we spoke in the first shir, what is bliss? Bliss is the feeling that God wants you and loves you and enjoys you, and every moment is a gift, and you're here to channel the most amazing energy. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's life. That's what it means to live. The anxiety and the doubt and the self-consciousness and the blame and the shame and the guilt, that's all crazy dysfunction. But this is Olam al Miluy Nivra, and shaykh to everybody. It's not a hidur, it's not a high level that this person is b'simcha. It says this is what it means to be alive, that you're in flow. I'm not self-conscious. That means I'm not busy looking for your validation. I'm not afraid of being invalidated by you. It's really living in that space. It's openness. Your heart is open. And then you feel your love. And this is everything what bittul is, and this is what simcha is. Then Chava and Adam introduce us to a new consciousness. This is called Chetei Tzadas, the sin of the tree of Das. Das is awareness, knowledge. And here a new simcha is created, a simcha of morgish, a simcha which is about self-consciousness. I want to be happy. I want to be a happy person. Beautiful words. I want to be a happy person. And he's going to explain now the whole temptation of Eitz Hadas was, it's still that people don't want to have anxiety. We hate anxiety for good reason. We want to be happy people, right? Why do you come to the Shir, Reb Shol? Nobody wants anxiety. Why is everybody searching for healing? What are we looking for? What? People want to heal. They want to be happy. They want to be normal. They want to come home and appreciate their marriage, their children, themselves. They want to wake up in the morning and feel normal, good, just normal. People suffer from so much anxiety, and sometimes those who don't say they suffer from anxiety suffer from even more anxiety, or they're just shut down and they're just living in survival. And it works for them, but there's something off. Something is shut down. You feel it. There's no heart. There's no openness. They're very defensive. Right? Everybody in their own way, whatever everybody's struggling with. Where did that all begin? So the Rebbe says this was the innocent attempt of Chava in the Eitz Hadas to experience some relief, some joy. The Chet Eitz Hadas was Inyan Hargasha. It says an unbelievable explanation of the whole story. It was Inyan Hargasha. They were looking to feel. Inyan Hargasha means the Inyan of feeling. It says, the way the Torah describes in Bereshis is the woman saw that the tree is good to eat. It's craving, it's appealing to the eyes, and it's pleasant. It's a tree that's pleasant, lahaskel, to understand. So look, what type of tree is it? It's good for eating. It's a taiva le'inayim. It's beautiful for the eyes. And it's geschmack for the seichel. Every level, every strata of reality it touches. And what does it say? Here is the bliss. Here is the joy. You eat me, you have me, and you're a happy person. You take this medicine. Yeah. Your mind will be normal. Your eyes will be overtaken, and the taste will be geschmack. Huh? An apple a day keeps the therapist away. An esrig a day, a grape a day, a fig a day, a blood gemara a day, lahavdil, keeps the therapist away. You take this medicine, you take it, and what happens? You're a normal person. Your equilibrium is different. Shazel inyan hargasha. All of these qualities have one element, hargasha. You're going to feel. You're going to feel happy. You're going to feel good. One second. They're in Gan Eden. What does it mean they're in Gan Eden? Adam HaRishon was only shaykh to Haskalas Ruchnim. Haskalas Ruchnim means transcendent awareness, divine awareness, spiritual awareness. That's Gan Eden. In Gan Eden, the brain is channeling divine ideas, divine awareness. So what exactly are they looking for? The chet was that he wanted to be maskil. What's pshat? Everything should be b'morgish. I want to experience it. I want to feel it. Yes. Yeah. Before that, there's complete flow. But you know what flow is? Flow is I don't feel. Not I don't feel because I'm dead, because I'm alive. Like the Rebbe said, as me filled zich is shenish gut. The body is like, where is it? It's light. It's almost like it's like soaring. In the ultimate ego death, you don't feel. Not because you're not feeling, because you're a channel for everything. There's no feeling of self. The feeling is just channeling the source's feeling. It's almost like feeling flows through you. It's not like I'm feeling. I'm not feeling. I'm not even here. I completely surrender. It's hard because that surrender is hard. Sometimes your brain will tell you you're going to die or you're going to go into insanity because that's its last defense against bittul. And when you overcome that and say, I'm ready to go into insanity, I'm ready to die, and you surrender, oh, that's normal. You become normal. What's that you become normal? You're not you. You're channeling. Even the feeling is not you. It's not, I'm feeling, I understand. Wow, look how great I am. Wow, I'm a brilliant guy. There are moments like that. But in that moment, there's no ratzon lahaskel. Adam and Chava, they wanted the ratzon lahaskel. I know Haskalah is a b'morgish. I should feel it. I should experience it. Now over there it was holy. The Chetei Tzadas in its source is holy. It's like Ru'umah. It's Atzilus. But what happens? The moment that came in, that subtle ego was born. Now, after many levels, there could be a Nikas HaChitzayna, which means Klippa could get its nurture from there. This explains the whole possibility for this. It says in Kabbalah, Adam's head was in the world of Bria, his body was in the world of Yitzira, his legs were in the world of Asiya. Now understand what that means. The posture of a person, right? We look at when the posture of a person, his head is Olam HaBriya, his consciousness was the consciousness of Bria, his body was the consciousness of Yitzira, his legs were the consciousness of Asiya, and it was flow, everything was flow from Atzilus, which is the source, the soul. So like the soul flowing through his body. It's like mamish, you're a channel. What does that feel like in your body? So where's the sin here? The sin is defiance, betrayal. Where is that? That's part of me that has to sit in me. Like Rashi himself says, the Yetzer Hara only came in after. So if there was no Yetzer Hara, who was telling them to eat from the tree? The Yetzer Tov. So why are you calling it a sin? We say it's like a catch-22. Rashi says the Yetzer Hara came in after the Chetei Tzadas, and that's why they knew they were naked. So they didn't have a Yetzer Hara before. So there was a snake. What's that snake? So he's an outside guy. It's not inside of me. So how is he shaykh to Chet? The The pshat is the Chayei Tzadas wasn't coming from Klippa. It wasn't coming from the opposite of Kedusha. It's a different type of chet. What we call a sin is a different type of sin. Here the sin was the hergish of Elikus. There's a Maamar from the Alter Rebbe that the sin of Adam and Chava was, only the Alter Rebbe could say, the sin of Adam and Chava was, they wanted Ava v'yira. They wanted to feel Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. They wanted to feel it. They wanted to feel love. They wanted to feel the love. The moment I want to feel the love, it's very, very edel, right? So now I'm looking to feel the love. So they were looking to fill it with Avas Hashem, right? Now I'm looking to fill it with whoever will give it to me. Maybe a piece of cake, maybe my phone, maybe some stranger. But I'm already desperate for that. The void was created. And we do it because it's very hard to trust bittul. Like, there's the element, I want to be part of it. So after the Chayei Tzadas, even when there's avodas Hashem, there's still that element that the simcha could be b'morgish, self-conscious. The kiv and shekasha simcha b'morgish yachalis mazayinik lechitzaynim l'chein ef sheshati avoda b'simcha etzel kol echad v'echad miYisrael ki lav kol moichas savil dashati simcha lekiz b'li hergish atzmikim b'tzadikim dafka. And therefore, this avodah of simcha where there's completely no morgish is already lav kol moichas savil. It's a very deep, deep space. A simcha lekis b'li hergish atzmai. One needs to realize how much surrender it takes. Mashenken etzel shar b'nei Yisrael tzarich liyas inyan ha-simcha rak b'pnimiyas aval b'chitzaynis tzarich liyas inyan ha-yira v'kabolas el davka k'mesha kasa v'gilu birada. It's a hafla fella. And that's why in order to balance this, the tzaddik could be completely with simcha because the purity is guaranteed. But most of us who struggle with this, the simcha must be there, but pnimiyas. But b'chitzaynis, on an outer level, there's an element of yira, of awe. And Kabbalah said, like the pasuk says, v'gilu birada. Celebrate with a tremble. In other words, how can you have both simcha or ra'ada? Either you're happy, or you're in a state of awe, in a state of yira, of ra'ada, of tremble. Because both are now necessary. In other words, the Kabbalah soil and the Yira puts a boundary and it protects the Simcha from going into places that will ultimately become Yenikas HaChitzayna. Because we ate from the Eitz Hadas. It's very easy to be hijacked. My Simcha can be hijacked in a second. It started off pure. But it can be hijacked very, very fast. What's the antidote for that? Yira, Kabbalah soil. Boundaries, moral boundaries, Shulchan Aruch, Halacha. What does Hashem want? You see it constantly in the healing work. People go on very, very deep healing journeys. They see what they think is the ultimate reality. A week later, they make decisions that upend their entire life. 6 months later, they realized that they're in the dumps. They're in a different abyss. They're in an abyss. What happened? Once you ate from the Eitz Hadas, you have to know the Eitz Hadas is in your medicine also. You have to know that. The ego can hijack anything. My toxicity and trauma can hijack anything. And then from moments that were very blissful and pureful, and they were blissful and they had true insights, but it was hijacked. And my template of survival takes over the narrative and just expands it based on what I saw or heard. The Olam understands what I'm talking about. This is very important. And exactly. And then a year later, what did I do? So that's why he says just simcha with his pashtas, a tzaddik gamur, it's fine. It's not mortgage, it's simcha lekis. But if I'm not in that space, it's lav kol moichas avda. Not every brain can tolerate that. Not everybody goes to pre-Eitz Hadas. So you must have yiras Hashem. In a very practical terms, as I always say, people, the litmus test is, if the people around you are miserable, if your marriage is suffering, your children are suffering, you found Gan Eden, you found God, there's something off. And it happens. Everybody's miserable around you, But you are the only one who sees the cloud because everybody is sick. There's something off. You were hijacked terribly. And you may be sicker than ever. Because now you think you're normal. At least 6 months ago, you knew you were crazy. Now you think you're normal. Everybody else is crazy. It doesn't mean they don't have problems. It doesn't mean they don't have to do the work. But whoa. This is what Kabbalah Sol is. Kabbalah Sol means it's a simplicity, surrender. The second litmus test is Shulchan Aruch. If suddenly I had this awareness and it's causing me to break halacha, none of this is your Eitz Hadas. You're a human. You made a mistake. It's fine. Nobody's blaming you. You need Kabbalah Sol. Kabbalah Sol means there's a creator of the world who made the system. He made your brain. He made your soul. And he says, this is right, this is wrong. And you're not better than anybody else. Moshe Rabbeinu had to keep the law. The Baal Shem Tov had to keep the law. You also keep the law. And the third litmus test is, and this is very deep, is your own real menuchas hanefesh. When you have this Kabbalah Sol, you'll see there'll be much more menuchas hanefesh because you're really aligned. Those are three things. But that's what he's saying. You must have that Yireh Kabbalah Sol because if not, the Eitz Hadas hijacks the Simcha. You'll say, how can I have both? You say, B'pnimiyus, I'm B'simcha. And B'chitzaynis, I have Yireh and Kabbalah Sol, which is basically a limit. It's basically putting a boundary. So he says, how do you do abir b'zeh shezel k'mashal eved oivedus rabbi b'kabbalah Sol b'tachlas. Shebata legamri le'rabbi ad she'ena mitzias la'atzmei klal. V'arei av shemitzad atzmei eina shayach l'shum hergish klal. V'lo shayach shetiyi lo eze tainug ba'avedosai. Mikol mokem mitzad shleimus ha'kabbalah Sol. Nasa gam tainug ba'avedosai. Ela she'ein za tainug shaloi ki im tainug shalo adin. The kivun sha'adin misanig v'sameich ba'avedosai eved. L'chein gam ha'eved misanig v'sameich ma tainug shalo adin. The truth is, fakert. He says, when you have a servant who's serving his master with real Kabbalah Sol, meaning true loyalty and surrender, to the point that he's b'chlal not a metzias for himself. He's completely bottled to his teacher, to his Rabbi, to his master. We're not talking in an abusive way, the form of slavery in the South. We're talking about like Eliezer says, Eved Avram Anochi, it was his greatest pride. He wants to be an Eved because he recognizes that anything he'll achieve anywhere in the world, being an Eved Avram was greater than anything else, like Yeshua to Moshe Rabbeinu, Elisha to Eliyahu Hanavi, etc. But the real level of bittul is he's not a Metzias. If he's not a Metzias, his tainug is not negeya, because he's just here to do the work. So the Rebbe says, but that's not true. Real Kabbalah Sol creates bliss in his avodah, but it's not his bliss, it's the bliss of the master. He is such a conduit that he experiences the bliss of the Adon in his Avodah. So Dafke the Eved, Mitzad the Kabbalah Sol, experiences the deepest tainig, the deepest simcha. Yeah. You understand what he's saying?
I think the bittul was for the bliss, but the bliss was on there after the...
Yeah. The Kabbalah Sol, in a real way, creates the deepest type of tainug because it allows you to feel not your tainug, but Hashem's tainug. So in many ways, it's an infinite bliss. There's the bliss like I'm enjoying it, and from here we said that's morgish. So you need the Yireh and the Kabbalah Sol. So he said, but how could that coexist with Simcha? He says the emes is that real bittul means that the Eved is so bottle. So it's not like he's bottle, so he's now just a shmata. I'm just a robot. No, that's not bittul. Bittul is not a robot. A robot is not bittul. The bittul means he becomes one. He becomes such a conduit, so he channels the bliss of the Adon too. So that's also part of his Eved. So the real Eved is not that you're bottled, that you have nothing. Because he has nothing, he has everything. He experiences the tainug of the Adon. So that's what he says. L'chayre, you say, Einu Shayach L'Shum Hergish, like a real Eved. What's Pshat Einu Shayach L'Shum Hergish? Because of the real Kabbalah Sol, he has tainug also, but it's not his tainug, it's the tainug of the Adon. Since the Adon is so misanig with this avodah, he experiences that tainug also. So Mele, it's full of simcha. And it's full of Kabbalah Sol. The two become one. What does this mean in a person's life? Right? There's different stages in avodah. But this is where he says the two become completely one. And that's what real Kabbalah Sol means. People think, what's Kabbalah Sol? Kabbalah Sol means you accept the yoke. So it's like a heavy burden. I'm accepting the yoke. So sometimes that's true. Real Nakuda of Kabbalah Sel, real Nakuda of Yira is, I let go of the need of any form of self-consciousness from the most liberating space. And my greatest desire is to be an Eved Neman. What does it mean to be an Eved? Like you see by Eliezer, for example. You have a parsha of 67 psukim in last week, Chayei. It doesn't say his name once, even though he did everything. Avram sent him. He's the one who came to the well. He davened. He met Rivka. He negotiated. He brought her back. If not for him, there would be not one Jew living today. He did everything, the guy. Okay, he was a shliach of Eliezer, but he did it. Can't you mention his name once? Come on. It's not fair. Doesn't even say his name once. He introduces himself. He doesn't say, my name is Eliezer. Eved Avraham Anoichi. If not for Chazal, we wouldn't even know who Eliezer is. We only know his name because Chazal explained it was Eliezer. It doesn't say anywhere in Chumash. 67 psukim. It's almost like not nice. First of all, he deserves a Nobel Prize. You don't want to give him the Nobel Prize? At least give him a Psal cover, like you say, Ashishi, Ashlishi, Adavi, sponsor a Kiddush, something. A plaque. He made the Shidduch. Huh? Yeah, the truth is, if you would have told Eliezer, we want to mention your name, he would say, you're killing me. Don't. You understand? For Eliezer, that's the greatest compliment in the world. When Eliezer could say, Eved Avram Anoichi, there was no greater tainug than Eved Avram Anoichi. Fakert. If you take him away from Eved Avram Anoichi, it would be like taking a fish out of water and saying, here, we want to take a picture of you. And we want to honor you by the dinner. And the fish says, don't do me any favors. Keep me in the water invisible, because that's life. When Eliezer was Eved Avram, he was channeling Avram, the neshama of Avram Avinu, who was a merkava to the Shechina. It wasn't Avram as an individual. The moment you take Eliezer out of there, you say, Eliezer, Eved Avram, my name is Eliezer, you just killed him. You literally killed him. You killed his flow. You killed his tainug. The greatest chus for Eliezer was that he didn't have a name. That's who he was. He worked his whole life. I don't have a name. And truthfully, I don't have a name. And then, paradoxically, you have the most tainug. Because you know whose tainug you have? You're actually, God's tainug is flowing through you. So your bliss is of the different level of time. That's what real simcha is. So it's not like in the ultimate surrender, you're just like a dead, lifeless person. No, you're the most creative. It's not my feeling, I'm happy, I'm doing well. It's the pleasure of infinity that I managed to channel. Wow, that's called alive.
So in the set we were looking for independence.
Independence, yeah.
Then the real avodah is interdependence.
Yeah. The chet was like detaching, not completely, just I want to feel it all, which means I want to own it to a certain degree. I want to feel it. I want to grab it. And that's what it means. You take the fruit, you take it off the tree. The fruit on the tree is not dead, it's alive. But I want it in my system. I take it off, I eat it. It's not just the physical, it's a state of consciousness. And that moment, humanity changed forever. We went from a place of flow to a place of hergish. And it wasn't a bad Yetzer Hara. He says it's an atzilus. It's just look at the bittul. Can you see the bittul? Right? It's gewaldik. It's part of avodas Hashem. In many ways, al pi chassidus, the real thing, Adam and Chava, they wanted to heal the ego. They wanted to make the ego also divine. Like, I want to feel it. So they went from complete oneness to independence. But from there's already a yenika for chitzayim. Everything changes. And that's why death came that moment. What is death? What dies? The soul doesn't die. The ego dies. When somebody dies, what dies? Their soul never dies. The part that's one with God can't die. Right? It says Yaakov Avinu loy meis. What do you mean? Why didn't he die? Because if you're in that space, you don't die. There's no such thing as death. The Kashnitz Magid on his deathbed, he told his son that ich zeshenish the guf. I don't see the guf anymore. It's all the divine energy. he was in Poland, so he said gif, not guf, gif. So they say that his son told him, Tata, ich fill the gif, I'm touching your hand. So he says, the tapst mit gif, fills the gif. You're touching me with your guf, so you feel guf. Like all I can take from the world is with the keli that I grasp it, that's what I get. You know, the glasses I use, that's what I see. You use a microscope, you see something else. So the Eitz Hadas transformed that. So there's death. So you're just conscious when they're naked. Why do they need clothes? They need to cover up things. I'm embarrassed. I'm self-conscious. I don't want people to see me naked, right? That's why we get dressed. I'm not in flow. A 1-year-old runs around the house without Pampers. Nobody minds. Why not? Why don't we say it's disgusting? Let's take him to a psychiatrist. Everybody says, he's so cute. When your 14-year-old comes down like that, yeah, you call Hatzalah, Chaverim, Meshaimrim, Mezamrim, crisis, whatever. What happened? It's just a couple of years later. So we all understand. The 1-year-old runs around without a pamper. It's cute. There's no self-consciousness, right? It's just natural. So that childlike innocence was affected by the Eitz Hadas. Now they become independent. Now the avodah is not I go back to pre-Eitz Hadas and I make believe I'm not self-conscious. I am self-conscious. When you insult me, I get insulted. When you compliment me, I get complimented. It feels good. We all live after the Eitz Hadas. But it's the interdependence. It's bringing it back. And he says the yira and the Kabbalah soil is the bittul that doesn't take away the simcha. It just channels the simcha so that the intelligence that you're feeling, the consciousness you're feeling, the joy you're feeling is not your joy, it's God's joy. And over there it's not murgish. Real Kabbalah's oil generates more simcha and more tainug. That's how you know it's real Kabbalah's oil. When you speak about Kabbalah's oil, what's real Kabbalah's oil? It becomes much more pleasurable. It allows you to be a channel. That's what it is. People hear the word Kabbalah soil, it's like a heavy yoke on you. So you feel yourself more. It's like putting a washing machine on me. I feel myself more. But real Kabbalah soil is, you open it up. You open yourself up. In the state of awe, complete yira, you become a channel for taina. So you finish, let's just finish the paragraph. So that's why there could be both postures, because the completion of Kabbalah Sel Rada, which is the tremble, generates joy. The person knows that this ultimately fulfills the whole kavan of the Rebbe, so you can experience God's pleasure. In other words, what do you feel that Hashem is so happy? He is so blissful with being with you, living in you, having a relationship in you. It's not transactional. It's like imagine you have a relationship with somebody and you both know that the most important person in the world for them is the person standing as you, and that they don't want to be anywhere else, and that the ultimate objective of the relationship is the relationship itself, and right now it's everything, not because I'm going to gain something tomorrow. What does that make you feel like? Anybody ever had that experience? Without this, we're dead. We're not alive. Without this, we're compensating for terrible wounds. Most people don't even. If you can give that to your kids, yeah. Yeah, this is everything. This is not mind games. This is an experience in your nervous system. That's how the Maamar began. That simcha is teufes atzmos. That's where it's connected. And that's what Direi B'Tachtonim. Direi B'Tachtonim means Hashem says, I love your heart. I'm crazy. I want you. Like me? You know who I am? I'm a shugana. So God says, do you know who you are? You don't know who you are. I know who you are. You don't know who you are. And to be able to live in that space. Here, Kabbalah soil is not an opposite of simcha. Fakir, it allows you to experience his simcha, his taina. And that's breathtaking, pun intended. And yet, when you look at this person, it's all simcha. On the outside, you'll see yira and Kabbalah soil. And don't be deceived by it. The real simcha people, on the outside you'll see awe, reverence, Kabbalah soil. Kabbalah Sol means they're Avdei Hashem. They have a yoke of Malchus Shamayim on them. They're responsible. They're disciplined. They function with a sense of grace, morality, ethics. They know what's for them, what's not for them. We're used to simcha, this uninhibited expansiveness, which is what simcha is. He says, but after the Eitz Hadas, that can be hijacked in seconds by the snake. In seconds. So you see people drink or they do other things, and in seconds it's hijacked by ego, by vulgarity, by stupidity, by dirt, by filth. You know what I mean? Like Simchas Torah sometimes. It starts off with a holy thing, but sometimes it becomes like, ugh. Like if you don't work on yourself, if you're not in touch with these things, holy things become sources of toxicity and stupidity. You see sometimes Purim, all these things. It's a very edel inyan, and then people get disgusted by it, and for good reason. It gets so dirty. What's the word when the water gets murky and soiled? It's beautiful water, but it gets soiled because I put all my garbage into it, and there's nobody to facilitate the process. That's why facilitation is so important. People do things on their own. It sounds great, but all their craziness hijacks it. They don't know what they're doing. And a facilitator themselves has to be worked out well, a very clean person. Because if they're not clean, they put their dirt onto you. The crazy levels of projection that people... Your typhus. This is your sight. So b'pnimius, it's simcha. It's all simcha. It's bliss. B'chitzayni is not b'hisgalus, it's yir and kabbalah. There's a seder. There's things that don't belong to me. This conversation is not for me. This food is not for me. This company is not for me. This Shabbos table, shmooze, is not for me. This WhatsApp group is not for me. It's not for me. Chill out, you loser. Chill out. Chill out, and simcha don't have to do with each other. Sometimes you need to chill out in the sense that, the anxiety. But we're talking about, the ufaratsta yamav akedma, the espashtos, is not necessarily simcha. It could just be yenikas achitzayim hijacking it. So behisgalus you have yir and kabbalah after the Eitz Hadas, and that's the general way it works. There's moments in time where it's just pure simcha without that. You have those in Yonim, but those are moments. If it's constant, it could be hijacked by the Eitz Hadas. So the regular avodah is vigilu birada. You're celebrating inside internally. The heart is absolutely open. So I don't go into the anxiety, self-conscious, ego, judgmental, anger, hateful, resentful mode. You know what I'm talking about? That's vigilu. But behisgalos, the way the person is living, is bira'ada. There's Kabbalah Sal Malchus Shamayim. There's Yiras Hashem. I'm in awe of the presence of God that I am channeling. And I'm in bliss, experiencing how meaningful and how precious the very relationship is. And that's at least part of what the Maamar is teaching us. And now breathe and have a beautiful day. But this vart with Eliezer, if you would call him by name, it would be devastating for him. It would be literally like taking a fish out of water. You understand? For most people, they can't even understand this. What if I don't get credit, right? Like somebody says, the best feeling is to do something anonymously and then somebody finds out. I don't know if you know that. Alter Rebbe wrote Tanya for 20 years and he published it without his name. You know that? I don't know if you know. The first edition of Tanya was published without his name. Think about it. People work on something for a day, and if you plagiarize it, they'll sue you for $20 million. And here he works on the Tanya for 20 years intermittently without his name. My whole life is my name. Eliezer says fakert. Have a beautiful day. Be'ezer Hashem will finish the Maamar Thursday morning, 8 o'clock. Tomorrow we have a women's class, 9:30. Hatzlacha Rabbi, everybody. Wer sagt das? Yeah. Melech al kol olam, yeah? Machal. Ah, yeah. Wo sagt es?